Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22. It's Youth Factory, and we are on episode number 10. I thought we were going to have at least one. Ooh, what the heck is... Oh, okay. Lovas gets in there, and he is fouled. I thought they were calling Lovas for that. Well, anyway, I thought we were going to have at least one match a couple games prior to the end of the season, as things were actually fairly tight in the league. And then just after where we left off last episode, our opposition, the second and third best teams, both took like back-to-back losses, and we won. And that sudden spread, that additional 6 points gap between us and them, suddenly made things really comfortable in the league. So there's no point coming back. So we move forward now to the final match of the season. The league is wrapped up, and we're just looking to capitalize and finish things off in style, which, giving the ball away easily is definitely not in style. This, by the way, is one of the teams. They have creeped their way up the table into third place, fourth place, third place. Acerod's going to get in trouble. Oh, straight red! Whew. Ow. Painful. Very painful. One on top now. Might have to pull that defensive mid into a more attacking mid position, but we'll see how we're doing. No, we're not going to go very defensive. Halftime. Jeez. Okay. So we started well, and then we had the big old red card and just flew to halftime. Nothing. Zero additional anything for us. And it looks like virtually nothing for them. I guess it was 34th minute already, but ouch. Ouch on that one. We'll see how things are going, whether we're able to create. I don't want to give up defensively what we're capable of right now, but definitely thinking about it. Free kick, dangerous spot, Malum. We get on the end of it, but the shot is blocked. Looked like it was headed straight for the keeper anyway, so it probably wouldn't have amounted to much. Lingvend lays it off, back and forth with Ostby. Finds a little space, gets Kelzy, he gets the touch off Ostby. Nice little touch to get in underneath, and Lovas chips the keeper and beats him. Hits the underside of the crossbar, unlucky for it to be out. Also looking a little unlucky to have been called offside, as it seemed okay live, but it was close, it was tight. Okay, it's 68th minute, we're hanging on nicely, playing with 10 men, but can we do much more attacking without sacrificing defense? Jakobsen finds some space. Kalzi, through ball. Lovas! Oh, Lovas, playing solo, man. You've got to take those and finish those. Great through ball, great chance. We should be ahead here. 70th minute. Ostby, difficult ball. Lovas, though, used to laying it off for somebody. Can't do it there. Kalzi is a bit tired, but he's playing well. I think all we're going to do is get a little more offensive. Let's start with 5. 5 in the middle. That's going to make Matheson, how do we want to do this? Switch this up. Let's go. Just go on attack. You're not good on attack. Go on support. There we go. Okay, 5 wide. We'll run that for a few minutes anyway. See how that goes. Let's shout some encouragement. Dangerous throw in for them. The cross is there, but Ostby heads it away, and Lovas recovers, but he's alone. That's going to be a second yellow. Well deserved, but very late. What can we do now with them shorthanded? And it's the defender. Lovas over the top. Lays it off for a teammate. That would be Acerod, who should be in that position. Lovas again. Again blocked. Definitely was not offside. Not even close to offside. You saw him run past the defender. You saw him overtake the defender near the end of the run, late in the run. Really poor call. But the level of officiating has been noticeably awful throughout. Darlishta Ostby was offside, it looked like, but got away with it. Matheson, easy one there, and we need to go attacking now that they're playing with 10. Malum, great ball there, and an even better save. Lovas, that's blocked. Okay, we're going to go tactical again, and let's see. Any of these guys. Ostby is going to move up. Pushing Ostby up, not all the way into an attacking position, but definitely moving further up the midfield. Getting more offensive than what we were. Time is up. Last chance. Nice little through ball there for Ostby. Malum. Lovas looked offside and was. And that's probably going to do it. It is full time. 0-0 draw. Of course, we played much longer in that game without our 11th. And still ended up dominating that thing. Had enough XG for 2 goals. Ended up with nothing. You can see second half how dominant we were despite being down a man. And it was not until, well, 1 whole goal worth of XG after they went down to 10. You can see how dominant we were when it was level. When we were down a man, we were still the better team. That does it for this season. Let's go ahead and get to the results. First, we have the final table. Nordhordland, who we just played, they finished second in the league. We totally dominated them, but couldn't get the win in that one. Of course, again, we were down to 10 men. That was a big reason why. But plus 22 goal differential in 22 matches played. So we scored exactly 1 goal more than our opponents in each match on average. 52 points is a solid total, but it was far from a perfect season. But we do end up with a 14-point advantage in the end, which better than half a point per match means we're pretty far ahead still. Come next season, I think, though, our likelihood of competing in the top 3 in a bit more tight contest seems likely. Not assured, but likely. That concludes a half decade. We've played 5 years now. Of course, that first season was horrible, but we got through it, and really that team performed better than expected. They did score some points on their own. But then we had that first youth intake, and since that time, we have had 4 straight championships, 4 straight promotions, and we will now head to Division 5, aka the 6th tier. We're getting there, but we still got a ways to go yet. And like I said, without the progression, natural progression of players, when and where we're going to see a scenario where we kind of bottom out and level off, it could be happening. We did have a single offer for a player before the trade deadline, the last trade deadline we had, of 24,000 for Malum. Malum is our best player. It's something. It was turned down, but 24,000, it's a start. Next year, maybe we can get bigger offers. Next year, maybe we can start sending guys out on loan to the tier we just left behind, because they are allowed loan players. If we're in a higher division, they might actually be interested in taking some of our U19s out on loan. Our U19s totally dominate their league. I think they had 1 draw this season. They're playing very well. Their quality is much better than what the U19s have to offer. They need something a little more competitive. They need to develop. They need to be in a competitive league for that to happen, because they are not developing in-house with our club, with our training facilities. It's just not happening with our staff. If we can send them to one of these teams we left behind and train there, maybe we could start to see them coming back a little bit better than they were. And actually, because they're barely off our first team level, a little bit of progression could put them right there. And then I could actually start loaning out some of those players who really do have high potential, and maybe they can progress. I mean, there's ways to make this thing happen. There's ways. There's a method that could work. And I think climbing the ladder a little bit is the key. And so far, that part's gone well. But at some point, again, it's just, I'm worried about how long we can keep going like this. Something's got to change. But that's also why we hired that little bit extra staff. And we saw a couple players showing signs of trying to improve, trying to make some progress. All right, here are the players that went out this year. We had nothing coming in, obviously, as always. And this year, gosh, 15 plus players. And all of them went on to sign with other teams. And a few of them did pretty dang good. Solbakken is one example, who first season was one of our guys. Well, second season was one of our guys. First intake, we let him go. That's how far we've come. It at all. Didn't play often, but he was one of our backups in that first intake. He's gone. Sar was a backup for us, but never played, except for maybe once. That's about it. Those are the two notable players that have left over the last year. Solbakken wasn't bad, but he just had no potential, and he was already now below a level that would make him viable for us. Two things have happened that I've noticed here. One, merchandise sales, which had been like $1 to $3 a couple years ago, and then was $6 a year ago. 64 this last year. That's one area that hasn't been exploited at all because of the kind of level we've been, the kind of reputation we've had. Sponsorships remain the same. Corporate hospitality non-existent. No competition prize money, even though we keep winning. I mean, it's been blank. Match day commercial was almost the same as last year, though it was slightly less. Okay, but new revenue starting to come in the form of merchandise sales. $64 isn't much, but we went 10 times what it was a year ago. If that's $650 next year, or $1,000 next year, $10,000 the year after, and it keeps growing and growing, right? And then it starts to be something relevant. Right now, not so much. Club reputation. I haven't looked at it for a little while, but it is growing. We're still half star, but we are no longer obscure. We are known locally. So at least our neighborhood knows us here in Oslo. Snellingen, not selected by me, but selected by the assistant manager, ends up winning Fans Player of the Season. Astencio, relegated by me to the bench, but again, the assistant manager favoring him. 6 assists, not as much as he's had in past years, and he still played in almost every match, and there's a reason why I dropped him. Snellingen, 11 goals, good. It's double digits. It's better than what he had a couple years ago, but it's not great. Never has been. Astencio somehow still always has the best rating, which is why I was reluctant to drop him, because in terms of overall quality, he's already maxed out. He's as good as he's going to get. He's already at the tail end of what we have in first-team players. Acerod was injured for a while. That's part of the reason for this, but he was only selected 11 times. That's it. And a couple of those were off the bench. I was always selecting him. The assistant manager, a little reluctant. He kept going with Snellingen. But when he did play, he played like the player that I pushed above Snellingen in the order, and that's Acerod at a 7.86 rating this season. Financial damage is still a real situation from the club, but they want us to expand the stadium in the new 5-year plan. They want to see that sort of progress. They know we need it. It's just a matter of doing how. How do we do that? How do we get this financial damage recovered? Of course, we know that ultimately it's going to almost certainly come down to either some sort of major board change, or it's going to come down to selling some players when the time comes that somebody starts offering us enough. Just how bad are the finances, you might ask? Well, $645,000. Not as bad as it could have been. $143,000 in debt this year compared to $216 a year ago. So it did improve. Things were costly, but not as costly. But you can see that slow, steady climb in our finances over the year. Some of that's the additional staff that we brought on, but loan repayments and interest constantly costing us a lot of money. And we've reached our next intake, another excellent one, 5 stars. It looks like we have one player who's already quite capable, coming in pretty solidly, left midfielder, but also plays as a striker. Plenty of other talent as well alongside him. Here's another good one in a right fullback. Can play that wing back a little bit if we want to do that, but we'll have to train him in another position before he can start featuring in the side. And only one good talent. Everybody else comes in as elite. That's a good thing. Another good sign, the youth candidates absolutely dismantled the U19s. And after last year, when we took the previous 2 cycles and combined them into one good team, eliminating all the rest, that meant we have a good U19 squad. So the youth candidates come in and beat them 4-1 means there's got to be some senior level talent here. You would think, right? You would think. 4-1. They looked really good in this one. I mean, the XG actually suggested they could have had more. And it was a consolation goal too. The goal that they gave up came right at the end. We're going to take a look at those players here in just a moment, but before we do that, quick update on where we're at as we are getting into the later stages of our preseason, just over a week or so away from the start of the year. It is happening. I am beginning to see small amounts of development within the squad. Ostby, for example, was a 59, now a 63, and that's all just happened over the last little stretch. So progression, in some places at least, is finally a thing. It's minor, but it's a thing. Also, I've made minor improvements to the staff as well. As our reputation continues to build, I'm accessing more and more talent. Ticket price has gone up. I mean, it was $1, now it's $6. So again, just small little things, but coming along. And our reputation has finally topped 1,000. It started at 1. 5 years later, we're now over 1,000, and that is out of 10,000. So we're 10% of the way there. It's still a very small overall reputation, but it's something. It is something. All the while, those finances are still a pretty serious issue, though, as we have 687,000 in debt. That's a lot, but it's growing at a fairly steady pace. So we're maintaining, or I mean, the debt is growing at a steady pace anyway. So we're at least maintaining where we're at. But I start to wonder about the level we're in. And this is going to be the first I see this. But taking a look, our division, you can see all the different groups that we have. Looks like there's 4 groups at the division we're at now. Is that the entire division? It might be. We've moved up now to 177th in terms of divisional rankings. It's coming up. We're up against a group that's almost entirely senior teams. There's only a single second team in this division we're going to be playing in. So that's kind of the first time that is happening. If we look at our season preview, we're still heavily favored. And this is the whole larger scheme. I mean, that's 43 teams present. We are not the Media Dream 11 that we've been in seasons past. I have 4 players in the Dream 11, which is still good. Acerod, Malum, Ostby, Jakobsen's an interesting one, but 3 of those are definitely my 3 best players. So we still stand out, but not in the way we did before. I do think we're going to be a bit more challenged this season, and I do think that without some development, our next tier anyway could be kind of a stalling point, as it's becoming quite evident that we're in for a handful. It's all still free transfers. Checking in on my progression, reputation now at 20%. A few things looking really, really good, but hands-on approach obviously not doing so well when we quick sim so much of the season. The determination, the working with youngsters, of course, as always, at a 20, but the discipline, which was a 1 when we started, half-decade later, it's up to a 10. People management did start with something, I think, like a 6. It's up to a 12. Motivating also started with just a couple points. It's at 8. Youngster knowledge, player knowledge, all coming up, though the adaptability, for some reason, even though I'm playing outside of my home nation and have adapted to it, it's still a 1. That's odd, but okay, fine, whatever. On the coaching side, defending up to an 8. It did start with a handful of points, but attacking was a 1. It's now a 5. Fitness, keeper handling, coming up a little bit. Tactical, now an 8. They're still not good. Coaching badges would be nice. Be nice to get some coaching badges, but obviously we need to have some money. I at least have a 1-star reputation. It's something. It is something. We are making some progress as manager, but obviously over the last couple of seasons, I've barely even managed the squad. But we're handling training, and that training, it is coming along. Like I said, we are making some progress there. Just a quick look here. We have a new coach who's giving us 3-star tactical attacking training. We have 2.5 stars in defending technical. We're 1.5 star or better everywhere. Definitely a mixed bag on what we got in terms of potential. I mean, we're only looking at a handful of players that have a higher end potential, that 100 plus sort of range. But when you look at the current ability, it is fairly good. There's a wide number of players, around a 45 plus. We have a 56, which we didn't have anything like that in last year's intake. We have a 51, though he's the one who's going to have to be retrained into another position. But there's definitely some senior level quality here. Now the question, though, is do we want to get our youth players into the senior squad immediately, or do we want them to develop? Do we want to keep them in the U19s for a little bit, get them accustomed to the tactics, maybe be able to finally send some players out on loan and see them develop further? Our 56-119, he might be coming straight into the side. A 51-67 without much room for development, a 49-55 without much room for development, maybe they go up too. A 47-103, that might be a perfect candidate to hopefully send out on loan and see some rapid development. Oh, I would love it if we can actually have that happen. But here's to hoping. We've got work to do. I'm going to set up my squad for the year. We'll see. Like I said, there might be a few names that see their way into the senior squad, but the majority, I think we're going to keep right down here in the U19s. And now that we have some further progress going off the potential ability side, I think we might have a handful of players down here at the end that are see you laters because, well, we have too many players anyway, so we need to offload some. I think anybody below a 60 potential is probably gone regardless of their ability. Maybe, I don't know, 49 could contribute senior level. It's kind of a weird place to be. Without the development, current ability is everything. Now I'm getting just a tiny bit of development. So do I instantly throw all my eggs in that basket of, yes, development, woo, and focus on the players that can develop? Or do I focus on the players that can play here and now, which is ultimately what we had been doing? But I don't know. I'll think about it. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.